Mars is the fourth planet from the Sun and the second smallest planet with a thin atmosphere, having the surface features reminiscent both of the impact craters of the Moon and the valleys, deserts, and polar ice caps of Earth. It is the most widely searched planet for life. The intergoing question of whether there is life on the Mars has obsessed mankind for generations. Within 2 decades, the answer might be a definite yes, because scientists have to send people to the red planet. There may be no little green men, but there could be humans wearing special suits and living in capsules. It is 20 years since NASA's Pathfinder spacecraft touched down on Mars and using a robot sent a huge amount of data back to Earth. They have found water, raising hope microorganisms once existed, and it could sustain human life. We are at the decision point in our civilization. For the first time, we have the technology and the will to turn ourselves into a multi-planet civilization. There's everything you need on Mars to live there. With private firms examining the potential of a commercial Mars mission, colonizing the planet is not beyond our reach. The organization, Mars One, is developing plans for a permanent human settlement and are training astronauts to take the 6 to 8 months journey to the red planet in 2031. They would live in capsules and wear specially designed suits to protect them from the planet's radiation. Spacex is developing rockets able to reach Mars and wants the first manned mission to the planet by 2026. Each would take 100 people and 1,000 such ships launched in 40 to 100 years. The hopes for a future on Mars have grown in tandem with the technological advances that have expanded our knowledge about the fourth planet from the Sun. NASA's Mars Pathfinder released its 23-pound 6-wheel robotic rover, Sojourner. It only traveled 100 meters, but sent back 550 images and about 8.5 million temperature, pressure, and wind measurements back to Earth. Sojourner was followed by the far more mobile exploration, Spirit, and Opportunity rovers in 2004 and the Phoenix in 2008. But it was NASA's Curiosity rover, which is still sending information back to Earth, that marks the biggest shift in the space age advances. It was launched in 2011 to determine whether Mars was ever able to support microbial life. The car-sized robotic rover landed in Mars' Gale crater in August 2012 and started exploring. Powered by electricity generated from the heat of Mars' radioactive plutonium decay, it can climb obstacles and rocks up to 2 feet high and travel about 30 meters per hour. It can also analyze samples drilled from the rocks in the hope of finding traces of water and alien life forms. The biggest challenge in getting to Mars at the moment is the cost. It will be many, many billions. Reaching Mars would take 6 to 8 months, and life there would pose physical and mental challenges. There are all sorts of medical challenges in being in space for that long, like radiation and how being in a weightless environment means your bone density reduces. The other challenge would be psychological. Astronauts on the International Space Station can see Earth, and they are in close contact with people on Earth. With Mars, I think it will be quite scary being out there on your own, and also you're in a pretty small tin can with the same people for up to 8 months. That can get quite grating after a while. July 14th, 1965. NASA's Mariner 4 space probes captured the first ever image of the red planet's surface as it flew past. 1971. Mariner 9 flew around Mars, becoming the first craft to orbit around a planet other than Earth. 1976. NASA's Viking 1 and 2 became the first American spacecraft to land on the surface of Mars. July 4th, 1997. Pathfinder landed on Mars and NASA released Sojourner rover. 2004. Spirit and Opportunity. NASA's Mars exploration rovers landed on opposite sides of the planet. 2008. Phoenix rover was sent to Mars by NASA. 2012. NASA's Curiosity rover landed on Mars. 2020. The European Space Agency plan for their ExoMars rover to land on the red planet. 2020. NASA hoped to launch their Mars 2020 rover to take rock samples from Mars. 2022. Mars 1 planned to launch an unnamed demo mission to Mars to prove it is possible and habitable. 2026. Spacex wants to commence their first manned mission to the planet. 2031. The first Mars 1 astronaut crew are set to take off, landing a year later in 2032. Please subscribe and click the bell icon for more videos.